Hey, how's it going, guys? So one of the things I want to talk about today really quick is the identification of subject and predicate in our sentences, okay? So when you have a sentence, you have to have a subject and you have to have a predicate in order for it to be a complete sentence. Without a subject, it's not a complete sentence, it's a fragment, right? When the sentence goes on and on and on and on with several subjects and predicates, then it's a run-on sentence, right? A lot of our students run into that problem where they either have too much or they have too little. So the perfect sweet spot, like the Goldilocks effect, right? We have to make it just right in order for it to have a complete sentence. So one of the things that I saw in the BWA that we just took on Friday is that our students were able to work with commas, were able to identify some subject and some predicate, but they were not able to put that together too well. Now, this is a really hard concept when it comes to fourth grade writing. It's a concept that's difficult for everyone in Texas, for everyone in the States, actually. It is probably, if not the hardest, one of the hardest concepts to teach, right? How to identify subject, how to identify predicate, how to put those two together in a complete thought, how to put a comma in there, how to not put a comma in there, etc., etc., etc. So for this really quick snippet, I want us to first and foremost understand subject and predicate, right? So I'm going to write a sentence on the board, and then we're going to identify the subject and the predicate. So the sentence will be, Mr. D, that's me, likes shoes, period. Is this a complete thought, a complete sentence, an independent clause? Absolutely. Our subject is whom? Mr. D. Well, what about Mr. D? He likes shoes, right? That's my complete predicate. Now, a good best practice would be to ask yourself, well, whom is the sentence about? What is the sentence about? And that's going to be your subject, Mr. D, right? Well, what about him? What about the noun? What about the subject? Well, he likes shoes, right? Now, we understand that this is a subject, that this is my complete predicate, and that makes an independent clause, a complete sentence, right? So now let's make it a little more difficult. I do like shoes, by the way. Mr. D likes shoes, which I do, and steak dinners, period, which I also do. Now, this is where it starts getting a little bit more tricky, right? So we have Mr. D likes shoes and steak dinners. This is something that we saw heavily in our exam that we took on Friday, our BWA that I gave them. In fact, only 32% of our students were able to get this question correct. It was question number 6, and it was a crazy hard question. So let's look at this, right? So what is my subject here? My subject is Mr. D. That's me, right? Well, what about Mr. D? Well, he likes shoes, but he also likes steak dinners, right? So there's a compound predicate here. When it comes to the compound predicate, you have to look at this word and our students know these as fanboys: for, and, nor, or, but, or, yet, and so. Whenever they see a fanboy, they automatically want to put a comma there because that's what they've been taught. Comma fanboy, comma fanboy, comma fanboy. But they can't put together that if it's not a complete thought after the comma conjunction, then it does not require the comma. For example, this one, right? Do we have a complete sentence before the and? Well, let's look. Mr. D likes shoes. Is that a complete sentence? Yes, it is, right? Mr. D is my subject. What about Mr. D? Well, he likes shoes. That's my complete predicate, right? So now we look at the and, right? And let's just forget about it for now. Steak dinners. Is that a complete thought? Is that a complete sentence? No, it's not. It's a predicate, but it's not a complete sentence. It's missing the subject here. So it's a compound predicate. Therefore, the comma that they want to put here does not belong there because it's not a complete sentence, right? Let's say, though, that we do want to put a comma there. We're still going to keep the Mr. D likes shoes because I like shoes. Mr. D likes shoes and he likes steak dinners. Period. Now let's look at this one. Mr. D likes shoes. Complete sentence. Now we have the conjunction, right? He likes steak dinners. Now, is that a complete sentence? Absolutely. He is my subject. What about he? Well, he likes steak dinners. That's my complete predicate. Now, if it does not have the comma here, the sentence is written incorrectly. The comma must be placed there in order for this to work. So, the easiest way to think about this is that before the comma conjunction, it must be a complete thought with subject and predicate. After the comma conjunction, it must be a complete thought, a subject, and a predicate, right? This is hard, y'all. This is hard. It's hard to understand because it's meant to trick you almost. English is a difficult language to not just learn, but it's a difficult language to teach, especially to teach grammatically correct, right? And especially in our demographic where we're at here, like in the borderline of, Rio Grande Valley, it's extremely difficult. So I get that, we understand that. And our students have done such a good job so far to understand as much as they can, really. And we only have 6 more days. We only have 6 more days. And so the biggest push that I want to give us as a collective, as what I like to call the holy trinity of education, you, the student, and myself, the advice, the push that I want to give us is let's just work really hard for the last 6 days that we have available to knock this out of the park. And I also want to say this, they have grown so very much. And I am so very proud of our students and what they have done and completed in this year so far. This is just a little snippet. I'm going to be sending out a couple more just to kind of help you. This is on subject and predicate and the identification of the comma usage, yes or no, because that was our biggest bet. Another thing that I would ask you guys is just to teach your child how to use a dictionary, right? We have done that, but oftentimes they get confused, and that's okay. I know I was confused when I started learning how to use a dictionary, but they each get a dictionary, and here's the secret. The majority of the answers will be in the dictionary. If you just use it, it's gonna be great, right? So with that being said, I have a couple of announcements. Tomorrow we do have the mock math exam, and so get some rest tonight, enjoy some sleep, enjoy some peace and quiet before we hit it hard tomorrow. You are allowed to wear your jeans, and you are allowed to wear your baseball tee that we sent out a message form with you guys on. And man, I'm just so lucky to be a part of this cohort. Thank you, parents. I know that you guys don't get thanked enough, so thank you guys for the work that you have been doing, for bringing them in for tutoring, for bringing them into tutoring with me since October. I had some parents bringing them in for Christmas break. I had them bringing them in for Thanksgiving break, for spring break, all for the betterment of the child. And after all, let's not forget this one thing, right? A child is not a test score. A child is our future leader. And so, with that being said, know that I am very pleased, I'm very honored, and I'm very thankful to get to know your kiddos this year. So thank you for the opportunity. Again, I'll be sending out some more videos. This is on subject and predicate. The next one coming up will be on homophones, right? Words that sound the same, they're spelled differently, and have different meanings. So stay tuned, D out.